I have just pressed record on the third episode of my podcast, the Bigger Than Running podcast. It's exciting. We're 3 episodes in and I'm excited. Truly excited to be doing this. I really am. It's a very good place to be when you can see progression. So, I promised you in episode 1 that I would do an episode called The No Doubting Thomas, subtitled Find Yourself a Thomas. Find yourself one of them. All right. What's this episode going to be about? I'm going to talk to you about what having someone like Thomas has done for me, specifically for my running. Okay. For my running. I will touch on what he has done in terms of impacting my YouTube channel, the podcast itself, me as a person. I will speak on all of that. Okay. I will also touch on the Boston 13/EVOSL conversation. That's something I'm going to be excited about. And we're about to start training again. I don't know what for. All I know is I'm going to do another marathon. Anyway, let's start with this. My name is Aubrey. I'm an average runner, simply trying to be less average by the day, and I am perfectly good with just being me. That's going to be very important for me to say, because I don't run like other people. I don't have the biggest YouTube channel. I don't. But you know what? Whatever it is I do, I'm perfectly happy with it. Let's start with Thomas. When you start running, or at least when I started running, I noticed something that I would normally get in my feelings about the paces that I run, the weight that I carry. I have so many insecurities, right? And then I realized, actually, you know what? I'm just going to do me. I don't know the technical language for that foam when I'm reviewing shoes. I'll just say what normally comes into a person's mind using normal English. I embraced my inadequacies and realized that my weaknesses are actually my biggest strengths. Now, when I watched the running shoe reviews, at the time, they were very straight to the point. You know, I decided I'm going to inject my own personality to this stuff, and I'm going to do the transitions. Like if you watch my YouTube, even my Instagram, it's going to be transitions galore. My son did an Instagram reel of me one time, and he did a spoof making fun of me, and he said some of my unnecessary transitions because you could die from an overdose of transitions from my content. Anyway, I get the confidence to start, right? And I come across this channel. It's called Believe in the Run. Now, the guys on there are giving me detail about running shoes, showing me the events that they're up to, but in their own way. Honestly, it was the first time I watched somebody be quirky. I'm thinking, wait, when are you actually going to start telling us about the shoes you said you're going to talk to? Like if you listen to an episode of The Drop, their podcast, right? You have Thomas, you've got Megan, you've got Robbie. Who are the common, the fixed faces you will see? Once in a while, my man Carl will jump in, or they will have a guest, all this kind of stuff. But they can just ramble on about different things. Say, for example, if the podcast is an hour long, I promise you, probably 15 minutes of that is actually to do with running. And I was like, what the heck is happening here? And why do I love it so much? They've got a way of presenting technical things in a way that they don't take themselves seriously, in a way that's market leading in terms of their just personalities enjoying what they're doing. And I just fell in love with it to a point where I not only watched the running shoe reviews, I started seeing how they recap the events that they are part of and the podcast. And I'm not one for podcasts. I will listen to one here or there. But this podcast kind of got to me. Anyway, I made it a point to let them know I'm a fan. I am a fan. And then that year when I started, when it got to March, it's International Women's Day, I shouted out Megan because she's one of the very few ladies doing this at the scale that she does. And so it was refreshing to then see the other Megan, Featherston Nutrition, when they get together to see that the ladies are holding it down. Anyway, I'll let them know I'm a massive fan. Fast forward, I'm chilling one day. I get an email and Thomas says, "Hey, I'd like to get you on the podcast." Oh my days. Now, you guys listening on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Apple Music, if you're listening, you won't see my face, right? But I'm telling you now, just imagine, right? Wait, what? Me? Like, so I try to play it cool. I'll be like, yeah, let me know what works for you. I'll try and see what the diary is doing. About seeing the diary though, that part I was serious because I work full time. You let me know what works. But fortunately, the time in the States works very well because it's early evening, my time in the UK. Anyway, we worked it out and I was on a podcast with Thomas and Megan from Believe in the Run. Shut your mouth. Shut the front door. What are you talking about? So I'm on this podcast, right? Part of me is screaming like a ballerina, thinking, what the heck is happening? What the actual heck is happening right now, right? Anyway, Thomas, Megan, they're asking me about how I got into running, what is Malawi like, and we're having this conversation. And I had no time to just play it cool. And he gave me the kindest feedback, compliments about, you know what? He's been doing this for such a long time and had not come across someone refreshing, funny, different, creative, the transitions, how I do my, and it's like, well, do you have a background in videography? All this kind of stuff. Anyway, that was the start of my friendship with him. Let me stop that there and then take it back to you. Because one thing I'm mindful of, I don't want to do too much in this podcast is just telling you stuff about my story, about what I've done. I want to reverse anything that I say about my story and reflect it back to you, right? When was the last time you spent time with someone that acted as a mirror to show you how good you're doing? I say that because there are times that you may struggle, even just as a person, you may struggle with your self-worth. And you just need someone to say, I see you. I see what you're doing and you're doing great, right? That's what this guy has been to me. So as a runner, we often find negativity and insecurities. They don't need to be looked for. They will find you. They will find you. Like, I was so shocked at how many people were disappointed about how they ran London Marathon. Now, it's a marathon, one. I will never be disappointed about a marathon time. Never. It's a marathon. That is a distance I once dreamed about. Not only that, I want to say it was one of the hottest marathons recorded, in terms of London Marathon, by the way, ever. How are you disappointed? You've just run a marathon, a hot one. And the times some people got, times that I could never dream of. This is what I mean. I get it. But insecurities, inadequacies, thoughts of self-doubt, you don't need to look for those. They find you, right? It is important, therefore, to find yourself surrounded by people that will reflect, not just telling you to fluff up your ego, but they will reflect who you are in a light that looks at yourself, that make you look at yourself and go, you know what, man, I'm doing all right. I am doing all right. I'm doing okay. And that's what this guy has been. Now, listen, when that person, the mirror, the Thomas, is your child, you could go, he's only just saying that because he's my kid. When it's your wife or your husband, they're only just saying that because they love me. But when it's a Thomas who does believe in the run, telling you you're doing good, you kind of stop and go, hey, I'm doing all right. If this, like if you're a football player, by the way, Americans, football is what you call soccer, right? What you do is American football. That's another thing Thomas and I do. We argue about Americanisms and the difference with stuff we say here. So guys, don't take too much offense and cancel me. Anyway, if Messi, football player, says, hey, you're all right at playing football. Or if LeBron James, Steph Curry says, hey, you know how to play basketball, all right. You stop and listen and go, hey, hold on. LeBron James is... And I won't lie to you, this guy is that to me. There is him, there is Kofuzi. Kofuzi is an absolute goat to me. I've had conversations with Kofuzi that have inflated my confidence. I remember I went to Germany, Road to Records with Adidas. They had a welcome evening. And when it wrapped up, people wanted to stay. I was about to leave, and Mike Kofuzi was leaving the same time. And I walked with him from the venue back to the hotel. I'm telling you now, that was one of the conversations I was, you know what? I'm doing something right. Right. Anyway, when it's people like that telling you, you're doing all right, you're doing all right. Anyway, let's carry on. This Thomas became a friend. Anyway, we do Road to Records, and I get to meet him for the first time. I met him for the first time there, and I just loved his energy. I stuck around. It was so good to just spend time with him, Megan, Carl. It was an amazing thing. And he said, you know what? I want to keep you around. I'm like, oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm not going to get in your way. You do you, Thomas, bro. You do you, right? Anyway, next thing, I am being invited to run my first marathon, Berlin Marathon. Now, it works out, and I'm sorry to say this, Thomas, but it worked out that he had been injured. He wasn't in good shape to train for the kind of marathon that he wanted to run, right? I then go, well, why don't you run with me? He goes, actually, do you know what? I've had a chat with my coach, and he thinks it would actually be good to ease off and train to run with you. So yes, it would be a pleasure to pace you. I'm like, this is not happening. This is not happening. My first ever marathon is Berlin, a world major at its 50th anniversary, being taken there by Adidas and Believe in the Run, and I'm going to be paced by Thomas. This is just beyond anything I could write. I couldn't dream of this. Anyway, we get to Berlin, and I spent as much time as I could with Thomas. And I've spoken about this in the previous podcast, we spent a Saturday morning together, and he advised me on so much. Anyway, we run Berlin, and till this day, I haven't managed to get to 4 hours 25. It's my fastest time. It was my first one, and it was simply because I had Thomas with me, coaching me through it. And just a memory you can never wipe away. Anyway, fast forward. Aubrey, we're doing New York. Well done. Well done, you guys. You know? No. We are doing New York. What do you mean? You and me. Shut up. Now, the reason I said shut up is he wasn't even running. I want you to be part of Believe in the Run for the New York Marathon. No way. New York. I've never been to the States before, right? All my days. Yeah, go on, Thomas. Yeah. Long story short, I fly to New York. I see the yellow taxis, the big buildings, the mega super-sized pizzas, and there's Thomas. Again, clung to the guy, spent so much time with him. And I could not believe what was happening in my life at that time. This man had put it on himself to just help me. We do New York. We celebrate running it. I go back home. I managed to secure a London marathon place through the Cooper team. And it says, what are you doing around Boston time? I'm like, shut up, what are you doing? What are you talking about? We're gonna run Boston. No, we're not. Yeah, we're gonna run Boston. Adidas and Believe in a Run invite me to go run Boston. Thomas sees it that I am there. I am part of the Believe in the Run team. I thought about this, and honestly, it brought me to tears flying to Boston. I had gone through a bit of a low point at this point. And when I looked at the Boston Marathon top, on the sleeve it says, Boston is my victory, right? It's written, Boston is my victory. And I looked at it through everything I had been through. It was so fitting on the plane. At that time, when I broke down a little bit, I looked at the sleeve and it said, Boston is my victory. Through the trolls, the toxicity, the negativity I had gone through, that was a turning point. Seeing my sleeve and recognizing what Thomas has been doing. Unfortunately, I was booked into a different hotel to where the guys were staying for the first time. Normally, we're all in the same hotel. So when we had events, we're going to go to this thing. They had set off at different times. When I got to Boston, I was actually really disappointed with this Boston trip within myself. Because when I got to Boston, I was running the 5K the Saturday morning. But when I arrived, the guys were setting up to go do the Believe in the Run event. I couldn't have my bib posted to me. I had to collect it. So going to the Believe in the Run event, if I had gone to that first, I would have missed the expo. So left the hotel, went to the expo. And by the time I had gotten back, they had already started. I joined them and then got to spend time with them at the end. I felt bad for that. The next thing, we hadn't coordinated Saturday morning. I did ask the guys though, guys, let's run the 5K in these shirts. Believe in a Run had these shirts made that had your name tag on one side and Adidas and Believe in a Run logos on the other side. I said, guys, it's only 5K. Let's all run in these shirts. And we did, but unfortunately, again, logistics of going from my hotel to where they were, we ended up at the start lines in different positions and didn't get to run together. After that, I go back and everyone is now doing their own thing. We did have the New Balance event, but at that point, I'm jet lagged to death. I've ran the 5K. We're going to the New Balance thing. I just wasn't myself. Anyway, marathon day. Beautiful day. But everyone is all by themselves. You know, everything felt disjointed in this kind of one. Oh yeah, sorry, I forget about the shakeout run. The shakeout run, for the first time, I then slept well going into Sunday morning. And the shakeout run, I get there late. Jet lag has whooped me, but I made it a point that I am there. But it just felt like it's slightly disjointed. Anyway, that's not the whole point of this conversation. What does it mean for running for me to have a Thomas? Thomas has done a lot for my YouTube, my Instagram, and now this podcast. But in terms of me running, what does it mean? The fact that I still haven't beaten 4 hours 25, the closest I've come is Boston, 4 hours 29. The fact that I still haven't beaten that time now tells you a lot. You need somebody who is a much better runner than you to be by your side. Not literally during race day, but as you get ready for it. You need the inspiration, the advice, the coaching of someone better than you as you get on to your race day. And that person to me, at the very beginning for my first ever sub 50 10K was Ben Felton. Ben is running, and Cole Gibbons, Cole running. That person to me throughout, since that point, has been this Thomas guy. It's a very good place to be when you feel indebted to someone for their kindness. It's a very good place to be when you can say, you know what, man, I owe you more than you will ever know. I know that this podcast going forward will start getting topical. I will start getting people on this podcast. We're going to do interviews and we're going to talk about different things. But I'm just going to say this out right now. My YouTube channel, me as a runner, for sure my marathon journey would not be what it is without Thomas from Believe in a Run. You got to give people their flowers whilst they can still smell them. One more story. I have a very good working relationship with Mizuno, the brand. The first ever running shoe I ever reviewed was the Wave Rebellion Pro. I remember I had 600 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I tried my luck. I just went, hey, I review running shoes. Do you guys mind sending me a pair of shoes for review? And Graham, who is the UK manager, said, yeah, okay. I'm like, what, seriously? Like, what? Okay. And they did, right? Full circle moment. I get a call, not even a message or an email from Thomas. I'm putting together a team for Amsterdam. You in? Hold on, Thomas. Are you asking me if I'm in? What do you mean? Of course I'm in. Yeah, do it. Anyway, Ryan from Believe in the Run and I end up going to Amsterdam. Ryan ran the marathon, I did the half, okay? Simply because Thomas said, do you want to, right? Anyway, from that, Mizuno then says to Believe in the Run, we've got a lineup of shoes coming out. We got Osaka Marathon, Believe in the Run, let's go. The guys had been on several trips and then said, actually, no, but I think you definitely need to get Aubrey on that trip. Don't think for a second it's because Aubrey's amazing over here and Mizuno's like, yeah, we want that guy. No, it's a reference. It is Thomas simply saying, get Aubrey there. And I went to Osaka and experienced a culture like no other. I had an experience of visiting a continent I have never been to, a country, a culture, a people that I had never experienced before. And I got to run the marathon, is how I see it. I can't tell you what things like that mean to someone like me. You'd have to know where I'm coming from, what life was like growing up as a kid, to understand what things like this mean to me. Thomas, brother, I say it all the time, but please know, you are deeply loved by me. And I stopped seeing you as the guy from Believe in the Run. You truly are a friend. And I can hand on heart tell you, I don't have a lot of people in my life that have shown me kindness to the level or the extent that you have. Thank you very much, sir. All right. Enough of this emotional stuff before I get a bit, give me a second. Right. I talked about Adidas. Let's get to it. Adidas have released 2 running shoes that I absolutely love. Well, more than 2, right? The shoe that I love the most from the Adidas brand is this one here. This is the Adidas Adizero. No. Yeah. Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 4. The best running shoe out right now, in my opinion. Okay, I ran the Berlin Marathon in this shoe. I ran Boston Marathon in this shoe. I ran London Marathon in this shoe. The last two, Boston and London, in this precise one, and then the Berlin one in the white. Outside of that, they then released this shoe, the Evo SL. The Adidas Evo SL has become a talking point for many reviewers, many runners. That's the shoe I want to talk to you about, but recently we've then had the Boston 13. The Boston 12 is definitely, I think, in my opinion, was the talking point in terms of what the shoe is before the Evo SL came out, okay? One thing that people have sort of expressed on comments on my YouTube channel, stuff that I've seen, is the availability of these shoes to the public. There've been limited drops here and there, that kind of thing. And that might be part of the marketing strategy. I don't know. But that's one of the things that sort of caused a lot of hype and talking points on these two Adidas shoes, the Boston 13 and the Evo SL. So let's start talking about these two shoes. Why have they made a splash? Why are they a big talking point? I'm going to start with the Boston 13 because I want to end with my favorite one, which is the Evo SL. I recently compared these two shoes on my YouTube channel. If you would like, you can go to the show notes. I will put the link to that. I'll put a link in the YouTube video of this podcast episode, as well as link the two videos at the end of this on YouTube. For you guys listening, all links will be in the show notes. Okay? So, Boston 13. The Boston 12 is a loved daily trainer. The 13 just evolves it a bit more. And I think there are two things that I think are very, very topical and make the Boston 13 much better than the 12. We're going to start with the midsole. They've added more of the Light Strike Pro. In terms of an overall profile of that midsole, they've decreased the amount of foam because it's made up of two foams, Light Strike and Light Strike Pro. By minimizing the Light Strike, they've added the Light Strike Pro, giving it a bit more bounce, 13.8% to be precise, right? That's made the Boston 13 to be quite an enhanced and evolved daily trainer from the Boston 12. The other thing is the introduction of this light traction. This is the same outsole material you're going to see on the Pro 4. I love that. It's the introduction of premium features in a more affordable package. That's what the Boston 13 is. What is this shoe for? Well, if you're going to be training for a marathon, anything long distance, I'll go as far as half marathon, you want to preserve your Pro 4, your race day shoe for that. To be honest, if you can afford a Pro 4 for training purposes, you can't beat the experience in the Pro 4. However, as a training companion for your running shoe rotation, the Boston 13 is exactly that. Excellent, excellent running shoe, but I don't think it is as good as the Evo SL. From a comparative perspective, if I can remember, the Boston 13, both in a 9.5 UK, this is 267 grams, okay? The Boston 13 is 267 grams. The Evo SL comes in at 241 grams in the same size. So it's lighter. In terms of price, the Boston 13 is 140, whereas this one is 130 pounds. Now, depending on where you are, there'll be variations, there'll be price differences, there'll be customs, I don't know. But just know, standardly, the Evo SL is a cheaper shoe. The one thing that swayed me towards the Evo SL, that whilst they're both 6mm drop shoes, the Evo SL is actually 38 millimeters of stack versus the 36 that's in the Boston 13. You can actually feel that. And I can. It might not just be the stack height that I'm feeling. It might be the absence of those carbon infused rods. It might be the fact that it's just one foam as opposed to Light Strike and Light Strike Pro. This is fully Light Strike Pro. That That part is why the Evo SL remains the Evo SL. I can't lie to you. It's simply a very good daily trainer to do all of your training in. I'll go as far as saying, for my audience, we're not elite runners over here. Okay, so we do 5K, 30 minutes, 25 minutes at a push. Some of my audience will do 5K, 40 minutes. Some of my audience have never ran 5K. It is important to have that perspective in mind when you're looking for a running shoe. Because of that, I find it almost wrong to tell somebody who runs like that, who's never run a 5K, to go, yeah, Boston 13, bro. Yeah, you should get that. It's called carbon-infused plates, bro. Rods, bro. Come on, bro. No, it almost feels wrong. So for my kind of audience, I'm telling people about the Asics Nova Blast 5. For my kind of audience, if you go to Mizuno, I'm telling you about the Neo Zen. If you go to Nike, I'm telling you about the Vomero 18. You see, there will always be a shoe. New Balance, the 1080. No doubt, 1080. No doubt. Therefore, within the Adidas line, there will be non-Adizero shoes. There will be your Supernova series, the Ultra Boost series. Despite all of what I've just told you, if I'm to give you a recommendation for a running shoe, whether you're just starting running, you want to pick up your mileage, or you're trying to get back in love with running, Adidas's Evo SL is very hard to miss. Can't ignore it. I don't know how. I legit don't know how I can tell you a different recommendation apart from the Adidas Evo SL. But these are both very good shoes, and it's topical for me to talk about them now. Okay? So, on the next episode, I'm going to start exploring guests. Who to get on this podcast, who can we interview, who can we run with, blah, blah, all this kind of stuff. But we're going to start seeing other faces other than me. The first guest I am going to have is my son, Josiah. Both me and him are running the Worthing 10K, which is going to be really, really fun, actually. It's going to be really cool because he's running the mile. I think his fastest time is 8:52, and he'd be looking to beat that. And then I'm running the 10K and inviting other people to come run with me. We're going to try and pace people to the first ever sub 1 hour, depending who takes me up on that offer. There obviously will be pacers on the day, so you don't really have to run with me. But I just find it as a very good community thing to do. With that said, thank you very much for sitting through this one. Hopefully you took me on your long run, you took me on your drive, your commute, or whatever it is. It's just good to be here with you. I'm going to close on this. Thomas, you're a real one, brother. You're a real one. And I am because you did. Thank you.